Uh, Good morning and good afternoon to everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We're very excited to do this webinar where we're launching our backup and recovery solution for Box. A few quick housekeeping things. This webinar is being recorded and will be shared with you post the webinar. And if you've got any questions in the meanwhile, please feel free to post them in the chat and we'll address them towards the end of the webinar. Perfect. So this has been something that we've been working for the last couple of months, and we are super, super happy and excited to finally say that it's available. So it's available on the HYCU R-Cloud Marketplace. So there's no more waiting, and you can literally start protecting your box environment with HYCU starting today. So today we've got myself. My name is Ashish Rao. I'm a senior product marketing manager here at HYCU, and with me is Ben Tapolski, the director of strategic alliances and partnerships. He's been working closely with Box to build the solution with us, and we work closely with them and align with them to get this out. So here's what we'll be discussing today. Primarily, we'll understand why you need to back up your Box data. We'll go through the shared responsibility aspect of it, the threats to your Box data, and the regulatory requirements that you need to keep in mind. Then we'll understand a little bit more about the solution that we have and its capabilities. And finally, we'll be going through a quick demo of the solution, followed by a Q&A session. To start off, I'd like to give a quick brief about HYCU. For those of you who don't know much about us, HYCU is one of the fastest growing data protection platforms with protection for over 80 different workloads across on-prem, cloud, and SaaS applications. We have over 4,800 customers in 78 countries with 450 plus channel partners in our ecosystem. And HYCU has an industry-leading Net Promoter Score of 91, and we have been recognized as a visionary in Gartner's Magic Quadrant for third time in a row. We've also been awarded the Best Technology Partner by Google, and we are recognized as a leader by GigaOM. Okay, so now before we get into understanding why we need to back up Box, let's take a quick look at some of the incidents that are happening around the world. With so many things happening, with so much news, around us, we sort of tend to miss out on a few things that are actually happening out there. The incidents, what impact it's causing, or what threats are actually out there, and how it's affecting organizations around the globe. You can see from these examples that these incidents can cause massive damage, and sometimes it goes up to millions of dollars. And these could be because of insider threats. It could be attacks like ransomwares. It could be human error, like, fat fingering something, or technical bugs and errors, due to which, you can have a lot of data loss. In some of these examples, you can see where, disgruntled employees have deleted the entire organization's GitHub. And another example, they've deleted the test servers, which costed the company nearly $680,000. And then there are other examples of, let's say, ransomware or human error, where an entire Google Cloud instance has been deleted, which is a very, very expensive data loss incident for any organization. And this reminds us that we always need to be cognizant of all the different threats that are out there, and especially with something like Box, where we store terabytes of data. It's really important for us to be cognizant and understand that there are several threats out there. There are several incidents happening around the globe, and we need to secure ourselves, secure the business from these threats. Now, with that, let's understand why you need a data backup solution for your Box. Now, first and most important thing with Box is that, like most other SaaS and cloud providers, Box follows a shared responsibility model. It means that they provide the platform, the features, the updates, and all the necessary security and availability of the services. But what they don't cover is the data that you have in your instance. That is completely your responsibility. And as you can see in their terms of service, they explicitly mention that they do not guarantee that content will not be lost or damaged. It means that yes, the content can be lost and no, Box will not take responsibility. So essentially, this would mean that you will have to be responsible to back up your own Box data and be able to recover that data as and when required. Now let's understand the threats that I'm talking about. And in this representation, what I've done is I've stacked them in the order of the impact that it can cause to your business. So the first one would be something like the disasters and technical failures. Let's say, for example, if the box services is down and you're not able to access any of your information, any of your content, and your entire organization is not able to access anything that you have on box, they're locked out. In this case, it can cause a complete operational halt, and it can, cost your business several $1 million. Then we have something like cyber attacks, which could be something like a ransomware attack or a malware, which affects your files and either corrupts them or deletes those files. This again could be an isolated issue, or it could, affect your entire box environment where you're completely locked out. All your teams, your entire organization is not able to access. And because they're not able to access any of these files, they are not able to do, their work, and, operationally things are pretty much halted. Then we have insider threats. And we saw from a couple of examples in the previous slide that, disgruntled employees or external contractors could delete in bulk your files, your folder, or it could affect your entire box instance as well. So these kind of insider threats do happen, and it could also happen over a period of time where a disgruntled employee is just making small changes every single day. And over a period of 3 months, you've got several different files which don't have the right data that they should have. Then we've got third-party risks, pretty much the integrations that you have with Box, and how Box talks with other applications. In this case, it could mean that some of the integrations are not working. There could be a bug, or it's not configured correctly. And these integrations automatically make a lot of changes. They can create files, they can move folders, around in Box, or they can even delete. So if an integration or a third-party, integration goes wrong, it can also, corrupt these files and folders or even delete them. Similarly, then there are automation errors. There are different automations that you could run on Box, and this again can make changes in the background in bulk. It can again delete these files and folders, it can move them around, or it can even get corrupted if the writing does not happen properly. Then we have human error. This is a threat which every organization in the world faces across the globe. And there's pretty much nothing that they could do to, mitigate that. In the sense, all that they could do is accept that human error is a threat and just be prepared for any error that comes their way. And human error could usually be fairly isolated. It could be maybe a few files getting affected, maybe a few folders have not been uploaded properly, or deleted by mistake. Or it could be in the case that we saw where an entire Google Cloud instance was deleted. So human error can either be isolated and just be a small event, or it could be something as large as an entire instance being deleted, which means all of your data is gone and is not recoverable at all. Finally, we've got file corruptions, especially with platforms like Box. You've got thousands of files, so many people constantly collaborating, uploading new versions, downloading them, moving them around. There is a chance that some of these files could get corrupted while they're uploading, and they're not readable anymore. Now we've got the regulatory requirements that we need to keep in mind. And these regulations require you to back up your critical box data and ensure that you're able to recover them as and when required. Let's look at a few of them. First one, we have DORA for financial institutions in the EU. DORA's Article 12 specifies various clauses around backup and recovery. Then we have NIS2, which is another regulation in the EU for organizations operating in the EU or with customers in the EU region. And Article 21(2)D requires organizations to implement business continuity such as backup management and disaster recovery. Then we have HIPAA, which is for healthcare organizations or other organizations dealing with medical records, which classify as EPHI. HIPAA makes mentions of maintaining retrievable copies of data and restoring any loss of data. So with this, I hope we had a fair understanding and idea in terms of why you need to back up your box data, from the shared responsibility aspect, from the regulatory aspect, and all the threats out there which are constantly putting your box data under risk. So with this, I'm going to pass on the mic to Ben to take us through the solution and its capabilities. Over to you, Ben.
Thanks, Ashish. Let's go ahead and take a look at what we're doing today to cover the different ecosystem of solutions out there available. So, as Ashish mentioned earlier on the session, Today, HYCU covers over 80 different workloads across a myriad of solutions, whether that's hybrid cloud infrastructure, think of your Nutanix environment, Dell, NetApp files, over into cloud services. Think of your Google Cloud, think of your Amazon Web Services and Azure environments. It could be anything from just compute all the way down to PaaS services like BigQuery, and even other services like your AWS IAM and recurring configurations. And then finally, dozens of different SaaS services. So obviously we're here to talk about Box, but we do cover dozens of other services, anything from Jira to make sure that your intellectual property, as you define your product roadmaps, are covered, your GitLab, your Git repos, down to things like Okta to make sure that you have ability to come back in and get access to your applications and files and SaaS services from a single sign-on perspective. So let's take a look at what we're doing right now for Box and what we want to cover today. So first, HYCU, through our ability to support all these platforms in a single interface, you have the ability to automate your Box backups with what we call an autopilot capability. So once you configure and set these policies that we have, and you'll see in the demo shortly, you'll be able to run these and make sure all of your data sources, including Box, are compliant with the backup. Next is we have the ability to do one-click restore. So we do fine granular restore capabilities. You'll see a little bit more as we go in the demo and additional slides, but you can quickly recover anything from the full instance all the way down to individual files and links in a single click. Next, it's not just being able to recover into Box, but we also have the ability to recover outside of Box. So think of if you are in a situation in which Box is completely down for whatever reason. It could be the cloud is down. It could be Box is having a small hiccup. We do have the ability to recover outside of that environment. So you have a kind of a pseudo business continuity to get access to the files as needed in that environment. From there, we also have the ability to make sure that you are in control of these backups. Again, as Ashish highlighted, ultimately you are responsible for the data. And so this allows you, and our solution allows you to make sure that these are offsite backups, and you can keep them whether it's in public cloud or on-premises storage types, but you are in control of that backup. And then finally, we do provide the ability for storage optimization. So instead of always making sure that you're backing up the entire environment, we actually take advantage of what we call incremental forever backup. And so the very first backup we'll do a full backup, and then we'll just go ahead and back up the changes on a day-by-day basis. That way, you're saving some cost as part of that backup process. So let's go take a look into a little bit of the granular recovery capabilities. So first, as I mentioned, you do have the ability with HYCU to recover your entire enterprise instance of Box. So think of this, the worst case scenario, the entire environment is gone. It could be for a myriad of reasons. It could be deletion. It could be different types of attacks. It could be from a disaster recovery scenario. We can, in fact, recover the entire instance itself. But in many situations, what you'll find is it will be either a user-related issue or a file-related issue. And so with our platform, you do have the flexibility and power to go all the way down to an individual file, web link, a particular folder inside of a user's environment, or the user themselves, their entire root structure. So let's take a look at how this is architected and how we are really making sure this is secure for you as an end user. So how HYCU works is we are kind of in the middle and orchestrating this backup. We will provide the ability to provide encryption of data in transit and rest. So as we do that backup, you can make sure that that data is always encrypted. HYCU sits in the middle and will actually allow you to use your storage as the backup source. And so what that allows is the data to be in your control from beginning to end. And that includes, if you're using public cloud, the ability for us to leverage your public cloud instances and keep the data inside of your tenancy. So our sister service would talk directly to Box inside of your tenancy, get that data and store it back into your public cloud storage, for example. We do provide the ability to provide immutability through warm lock or object lock capabilities. That means the data, as it's backed up, can be locked and undeletable. So you can be safe from any type of ransomware or accidental deletions of those files. And then you also have the ability to do these one-click restores. Now, again, as we highlight here, all the stuff on the right-hand side of the screen is stuff that lives in your environment. So again, whether it's the backup and the storage itself, or even the export of that data, if you want to do an offsite export outside of Box, The data is in your control from beginning to end. Anything else here? We do comply with data residency and sovereignty. So again, you're in control of that data. So if you want to back up data within a particular country, as long as there is a storage solution that you are working with in that region, you can go ahead and do that. So with that, let me go ahead and share my screen so I can show you a little bit how this solution works. So hopefully everyone can see my screen now. I have logged into the HYCU console. When you first log in, you have the ability to log in through a couple of different options. You have the ability to use username, password, or single sign-on capabilities, standard to what you'll typically see in a SaaS environment today. When you first log in, you will see a dashboard. I'll focus on the right side of this dashboard first, and then we'll cover the R graph second. But as you come in, you want to understand, based on all the different data sources inside of your environment, are they compliant with the policies you have set? We will go into a little bit more details about policies, but this is that automated framework that allows you to define how backups are going to occur. And this is telling you, based on your data sources, are they occurring as expected? Additionally, as I mentioned, you're bringing your own target. And so we do have this dashboard here that allows you to understand how much capacity do you have on the storage that you've provided for HYCU to back up to. Ultimately, if you do not have storage and you don't have capacity, the backups are going to fail and you're going to be at risk. So we want to make sure you're understanding, do you have the capacity necessary to do the backups? We do have this widget that also highlights, are the backups performing as expected? We do have a workflow that you can develop and build out that says, if a backup is failed, how can we make sure that people are notified so you can remediate and be proactive in resolving that? And then here you can see different events are going on. Think of events as every single activity that's going on in the environment, from logins to backups to restores. So you can actually visualize and understand who's doing what inside the environment quickly and easily. Over here on the left, we have something we call R graph. This is a feature that we announced a little bit about 1.5 to 2 years ago. And what this provides is it gives you the ability to visualize all the different data sources that you have in your environment. We leverage different data sources on this to get this data. It can be something from plugging in your Entra ID, your Okta SSO information, as well as we are installed and deployed across on-prem and cloud services. We are able to give this visualization. What you can see, and I will zoom in a little bit more, is we are also categorizing this. And so it allows you to more easily interpret and understand your different services based on functional group. So you can see here we have a bunch of different sales and marketing solutions in here, whether it's a DocuSign, whether it's a Rike or Miro, Asana. We also have the ability to understand what are the DevOps solutions out there, whether you're using Google services, Git repos. And so we're really trying to give you, the customer, visibility, understanding of what are all of those different data sources that you have that you might be at risk to your business if the data goes away and is deleted. You also see different ways to understand compliance in a quick, easy fashion, whether all the different SaaS services or IaaS services or PaaS services that are in a particular group, are they compliant with these policies? So this is, again, think of this as a visualization to first understand, am I backing it up? And then if I am backing it up, am I in compliance with that service? From here, let's go ahead and take a look at how you would actually configure the service itself. And so what you do to configure our service is, first you can look at the marketplace itself. And so we have our R-Cloud Marketplace. You can go ahead and search for any service. You can base it off of different categories. I can do a search for Box here, for example, and you can see that our Box module, we call it, is available in the marketplace. You can click on Show More, and then you can get a little bit more detailed information about how this service works and the value of this service for you as an end customer. From there, you can either configure by clicking the Configure button or going into our setup screen on the right here. I'm going to go ahead and click on Configure, and you can see a couple of the different components that you will need to configure the Box module to make sure it is able to talk to and pull the data from your Box environment. What you're going to need on the Box side is your enterprise ID, a client ID, and client secret that you create from inside of Box. Once you've gone through and created that, you would then go and select the protection set that you configured this for. Think of a protection set, again, as a way to categorize your service, but then also to provide role-based access control into your environment. For example, you don't want somebody in engineering probably accessing the Box environment if that is for sales data, right? So you want a person who is responsible for sales ops or sales data to be responsible for managing the backups and recovery of those services. So think of these protection sets as a way to both categorize the solutions, and so you can minimize the amount of data within a particular set, but then also role-based access control. So who has access to actually do the backups as well as the recoveries in those environments. So I'm going to go ahead here and click on sales and marketing because this is the protection set that box is in. And then from there, let's go ahead and talk about policies, which is what we highlighted a little bit earlier. So again, policy is a framework that allows you to automate the backup and the backup policy, the backup framework within your environment. Out of the box, HYCU provides some basic policies. These are fully customizable, and you can create any type of policy you want as your own as well. Policy has a couple different things that we want to really focus on. First is, what is the RPO of that backup, right? So RPO is your recovery point objective. Do you want to back this up every day, every few hours, every week? You need to define, based on the data set that you're looking to back up, the importance of the data, how frequently that data is changed, and how frequently you want to be able to back that up and recover from that. Additionally, you're going to identify how many copies you want that. Do you just want a single copy? Do you want multiple copies? You know, the best practices in the industry for many, many years has been 3-2-1, which is or actually 3-2-1-1. So 3 copies of a particular data set, 2 different media types, 1 offsite, and that last one is trying to make sure at least one of those immutable copies are immutable or undeletable based on the type of data that's inside of there. Finally, as you look at here, you'll see that the other thing that you want to set is how long do you want to keep this data? Again, this is completely configurable. So you might have some data sets that you want to recover and retain for a period of maybe 6 months, 1 year, 5 years, depending on the type of business you are in and the type of data that's in there. And that is completely configurable across any of these policies and assignable. And then you will then define the last piece is, where do you want this data to be stored, right? So this is what the target is, what, in essence, what cloud. You can see that we're storing in this policy data in our Google Cloud Storage. Once you've defined the policy that you want to use for a box, maybe it's an existing policy, then you will go into the SaaS menu over here. You would select box, and then you will then click on set policy. And so then you would go through any of these policies that you have configured in your environment and go to the one specifically that you feel aligns most closely with box. And you would go ahead and set that policy by clicking on the policy and clicking on assign. As you can see here, we already have a daily policy assigned. When you first assign that policy, what it's going to do is it's going to initiate that initial first backup right then and there. And then based on the policy, if you are, for example, doing a daily backup, it will then create a backup every subsequent day following that in an automated fashion, truly a set and forget motion. If there is at any point in time that you feel that you want to do an extra backup that is outside of what is set up in the automated policy, you just simply click on the service, for example, here box, I would click on backup, and it would immediately initiate the current backup. And so that way you can have an extra copy. This could be in case what happens if you feel something might be going on in your environment and you might want to do a quick backup right now for whatever reason. There might be some hiccups. And so it is completely up to you to define if you want to be able to back it up immediately if that is required. When a backup occurs, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, we have the ability to then also, I had mentioned incremental backup. So I want to kind of highlight how this is working. So if you can look at a backup that we did previously this morning, I will click on this. You have the ability to go into the actual backup itself. You can do a search, the task itself, and then we can look and see we did a backup this morning at 7:47 of a box. And so I'm going to click on the backup. I'm going to view the task report. And what you can see here is that we did a single file in the backup. What I'll do here next is I'll highlight and go into our box environment. And what you can see in the box environment is that we have multiple files here. So you can see that we added this file this morning. This file right here was added at a different time from the rest of these files. And we are able to only back up that file, again, to make sure that you're saving cost and being more efficient in engaging with the box platform. If I look at the backup that was done yesterday, and I will look at this one right here, I will go ahead and click on the task report here. You can see that 4 files were done. So again, we've slowly added additional files on a daily basis. And now you are able to see that we're only incrementally adding files to the backup based on any changes that have been done, whether they're new files or new versions of those files. From there, I'd like to go through what a recovery scenario looks like. So now you identified that this has been backed up. Maybe I want to go back and say, you know what, something has been deleted. So I can come in here and say, I'm going to go ahead and delete these 2 files here. Someone made a mistake, delete these files. So I've got the HYCU webinar image 1 and our brochure version 2. So I'm going to go ahead and click on delete and click on OK. And you can see here that those files are no longer in this directory. I will even do a shift and reopen the window. You can see those files are gone. So recovery would be as simple as going into the backup. I can look at and say, you know, I know that these were backed up this morning. I'm going to go back into this recovery point, and I'm going to click on restore. You'll see 2 options here, and I will go through both in a moment. First, I will start to a restore back to box. So that's restore SaaS. I will click on next. Now I'm going to define what am I looking to recover, as you mentioned earlier that we have granular recovery capabilities. So I'm going to click on user file and or web link. So I'm going to recover 2 particular files that were accidentally deleted. Now what HYCU is going to do here is HYCU is now going to reach out to the storage service that this is backed up on and pull some details from the metadata itself. So we are not in this initial start part of the process accessing the file directly. What we're doing is we're accessing the metadata and pulling it into this environment. From a security perspective, what we hear from our customers is they like the fact that all the data in the storage is staying inside of their environment only. And what this is doing is it's pulling metadata into our user interface, our control plane, and allowing us to see, in essence, the customer to see, you know, what files are available for recovery. So this does take a small moment as we spin up cloud resources to pull the data in and then to review all the data across all the different backups, all the different data that was backed up in that environment. So this will take a moment here. In parallel, what I will do as well is I will go into another backup. And what we can do in parallel, and you can see here, is I can recover not only just the data source itself for a couple files, but what if I want to say, you know what, the entire folder was deleted and I want to recover, maybe the system is down for whatever reason, and I want to recover outside of it. So in parallel, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what we would do to recover an entire folder and not recover it into Box, but recover it outside of Box. So in this situation, I'm going to say export, and I'm going to click on next. And again, it's going to ask us that same granularity question. And it's going to say, do you want to do the full instance, the root folder, the subfolder, or a file or web link? In this situation, I'm going to recover a full folder. Again, what we're going to do is we're going to go reach out to the cloud again, start to pull that metadata, understand what are all the different folders that are in that latest backup from yesterday. Now, as we go back to the previous screen, you can see that we have pulled up all this information. And I'm going to go into this person's environment. We know this is under Bella Gibson. We know that we have under this folder, and you can see that I am able to recover the different files that were in that folder structure. So, you know, you'll see some of the files that exist right now, but you'll see 2 files that are no longer here, and those are the 2 files that we accidentally deleted. So when I click next, what's going to happen is it's going to say, where do you want to restore from? I'm just going to restore from the latest automatic restore point. I click on restore. Now this is creating a job to go back and recover those files back into Box. And when we go into our task menu, you can see that the restore of Box has been initiated. And so we're starting to review that. Now, again, to do this in parallel, you can see that this other this recovery job is still evaluating all the different data sources and all the different data inside of that backup. So I can do a full recovery of a user subfolder. So we'll give it one more moment for it to identify all those different data sets in there, so we can then go ahead and do a recovery of a full folder outside of Box itself. We'll see how this is progressing as well. So it looks like this restore job is progressing as well. So if I look at task report, you can see that it is currently evaluating and doing a recovery. In this environment, you can see that that is completed now. We can actually see the different folders. I'm going to go in, and I mentioned I want to recover my full folder. So I'm going to recover the full box webinar demo folder. I'm going to click on next. The next thing we're going to hear is we're going to select where do we want to recover this to. Remember, we mentioned that we have the ability to recover to different S3 compatible file system types. I'm going to recover to a Google Cloud Storage bucket. And then here I have the ability to define my destination path. And so I'm going to click on my webinar box demo because I want to be able to differentiate this from any other potential data that might be residing inside of that. And so when I click on webinar box demo, I will click on export. And what this is doing is it is creating a job to then go ahead and export this data. Give me one moment here. Looks like one job is still finishing up, so it will take a moment here. So give me one more moment here as this other one finishes up. It should be finishing up in a moment. So let me go back. There we go. And it is now going to initiate that backup because I had two backups from the same exact restore point going on at once. So that issued. So now if you look at the task report, it should show that a restore is starting to happen here. Now, if I go back to my demo folder and I click on restore or review the window and reopen it up, you can see that that brochure that I had deleted, this V2, is back in there. It's fully accessible. It's now available. I can then also go back and click on this image that I deleted, and it is fully recovered. The last thing that's going to happen here now is the restore of the full file and folders of this other job that I did. And so we'll give it one more moment for that to restore that full folder back into Box. You can see that it has started, it's pending, and so it's going through there. So as we go through this, I can see if there's any questions of what you've seen so far during the demo itself. We will also have a Q&A session shortly, just in general, but I can't open it up for any current questions on what you've seen in the demo. I don't know if Ashish, you see any questions right now as we wait for this last restore point to come through.
None as of now, Ben. I think we're still waiting for some questions.
Okay. So as I highlighted earlier, again, this is very customizable. You do have the ability to, you can back up to one cloud, recover to another cloud. So it really is defined up to, where do you want to recover that data? Where do you want to back it up? It is self-defined. Everything is encapsulated within your environment. So as, again, you go through the process and the data will stay in your cloud tenancy going forward. And so we'll give it one more moment here. As you can see, it started successfully. So it is going through that process to recover that data. I can look at the task report. It looks like it's actively running to restore those sources. So we give it one more moment, and I can actually probably go in here and go into this environment here. I can look and start to see that the demo folder has been fully recovered into this external Google Cloud Storage. I can then go ahead and click on any of these folders. Maybe I'll click on, again, this newsletter that we saw earlier. If I click on download, now it has downloaded. I can go ahead and open up that file, and you can see that the file has been accessible and readable from that external download. So that's the demo. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen, and we can then go share and pull Ashish can pull up the last slide, and we can share a little more details of what we're looking to do to help you get started today and any additional questions. All right, Ashish, we can see. So to get started today, we do have a QR code here that you can select. We do want to highlight that we do have a special promotion as part of this initial launch, that if you purchase over the next week through the end of the month, we will provide you the ability to get 3 months free on us. So it is an annual contract, and you'll get an extra 3 months for free. So you can click on that link. HYCU does offer trials of our solutions, so you can go to our HYCU.com and click on a trial request page, and you can get access to a trial, which is being sent into the chat window right now. So with that, we do hope that you like the demo itself. We will, again, open it up for questions for anybody, and we'll give it a moment here. I did see one question come up, and question was around how is this licensed? So HYCU is for Box is licensed on a per user basis. So if you have 100 users in your environment, then HYCU will charge you based on the number of users per month under an annual contract. That does allow you unlimited usage, so it's unlimited capacity. So it doesn't matter if a user has 1 terabyte, 100 terabytes, 1 gigabyte, whatever that number is for that particular user. We are not, we're very similar and aligned to the Box model for this capability. And so our license will be just based on the number of users themselves. Another question I see, again, kind of came back to the architecture around, does HYCU see the data itself? And again, as I mentioned earlier, HYCU does not see the data. So by leveraging your cloud storage, we're putting the power and the control of the data in your hands. And so, for example, when if Amazon S3 or Google Cloud Storage, we'll use Google Cloud Storage as an example here. If you're using Google Cloud Storage and you have a Google Cloud environment, what we will do is when we initiate the backup, we will spin up a backup worker or resource inside of your Google Cloud Storage environment, and it will talk directly to the Box API to get that data out. And then it will reside inside your tenancy while the software does its magic, and then it will store the data inside of your Google Cloud Storage bucket. And then once that backup is done, or if it's a recovery, in a recovery scenario, we will spin down that resource. That resource is not continually running, so we're trying to save you, be more efficient and save you cost there. It's only going to be running during the backup and restore. But the key thing is it's always running in your environment, so then the data never leaves your hands. It's going between Box and you directly without going through the direct HYCU resource. Don't see any other questions right now. We'll give one last opportunity. I don't know if you see any additional questions, Ashish. Those are the two I've seen. If there are questions that we don't get to for whatever reason, we will follow up. But as of right now, I don't see any questions. So maybe we'll give one more moment here. Anything else you'd like to highlight, Ashish, as we wrap this up?
No, I think Ben, you covered most of it, so nothing else to add from mine.
All right, so don't see any additional questions coming in. We do appreciate everybody's time who have joined the session today. As I said, that a question has potentially come in. So the question is, do we support on-prem environments? So we support Box from a SaaS perspective, but we can back up to S3 compatible resources that reside inside of an on-prem environment. We'd have to go a little bit more through the architecture of how that would work. But we will follow up with anybody directly. If you have any questions on that, please do sign up. If you're already actively working with HYCU, reach out to your account team. We will sit down with you, kind of review if that works. If you are not an existing HYCU customer, do reach out and request a trial or a demo request, and we will absolutely get back to you with more details on how that would more fully work. But we do support backing up to on-prem S3 compatible storage types today. So with that, I don't see any additional questions. If something does pop up as we wrap this up, we will follow up with those people directly offline. We do, again, as I mentioned, appreciate everybody who has come on and listened and seen what we're providing here today. We are extremely excited to be able to announce this in general availability. Again, if you sign up today and you buy within before the end of the month, we will give you an extra 3 months on us. But again, HYCU does offer trials. And so definitely, if you're interested, please reach out. We will get you into a trial environment and answer any type of questions that you might have. All right. Thanks, everybody. We will make sure we'll follow up with any unanswered questions throughout the next day or two through your account team or directly through Ashish and myself. We really appreciate everyone's time today. And we will go ahead and wrap up this session.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.